Welcome back, folks, to Cinema Alley, the show where we talk about your favorite movies and their stories. I am your host, James Howe, and always with me, Chris Cupp. Chris, how you doing,
Hello.
buddy?
Oh, I'm tired.
Tired. I,
Ready
I
for a
think we
nap.
both are. It's been a fucking week. It's been a fucking week.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, we're here to talk about Rian Johnson. No, not Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Yes, we're talking about the man who directed that and wrote that, but no, we're not talking about that abomination. We've already did our Star Wars for the season.
I'm a Last Jedi apologist.
Oh my god! Every time that I hear the name Last Jedi, I shiver. It's like in Lion King where it's like Mufasa. It's like ooh, say it again,
It
but
is
it's
the
not a very interesting. It's like ooh,
it's
shudder.
the
It's like I
best of
can't
the
believe
sequel trilogy, but the
I
sequel
can't
trilogy's
believe
down
I paid money
here.
to fucking see this, and
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah. So Rian Johnson, we're here to talk about his film Knives Out. Now we were quickly before even recording, we just decided, hey, like let's actually see what has Rian Johnson done other than the Knives Out movies, the Star Wars film. It's like, did he really do anything? And of course, my co-host Chris brought up Looper, which Chris, if you want to catch the people up, what is Looper?
Looper is about a man who is a hitman, but he kills his victims that are sent back in time. So like he works for the mob, and the mob in the 30 years in the future sends their I guess marks back to the past so they can be killed by the Looper, and so he can dispose of the body, and that way he gets he gets paid. He makes a living off of this. But yeah,
I'm already confused by the timeline of that film, but it's a Rian Johnson
that's
story,
what
so I'm
happens when
not
you
so
do
much
time travel
surprised.
at all.
Exactly. Like anytime it's a time travel thing, it's probably why I still haven't watched part 3 of Back to the Future. I still
That
haven't
is time
watched it
travel
yet.
done well.
True. Very much true. But yeah, so looking back here at Brian Johnson's work, I've never heard of Brick or the Brothers Bloom, but they look like British films. From my undertaking, if they're not, I do apologize. Like, I'm not a Ryan Johnson enthusiast. All I know is Star Wars, Knives Out, and then the Glass Onion movie.
Yeah,
But looking
mostly
real
did
quick through here,
television a lot, like maybe
yeah,
one
he,
or two
he did
episodes
three
of
episodes
television.
of Breaking Bad, which obviously you had to be good if you're working on Breaking Bad.
Yeah,
And he
no,
has Poker Face that's coming out this year that he's doing, which is it's another murder mystery with Natasha Leone, which I definitely cannot wait to see. It's kind of like a Columbo thing where it's a character-driven case of the week mystery comedy drama. Definitely cannot wait for that. I love Natasha Leone all the way
no.
since American Pie. But also looking back, I found out that one of his technical credits was he was one of the 3 editors for the horror movie May, which for the horror enthusiasts, it's pretty much almost kind of like a Frankenstein story meets Carrie, where it's this girl that's kind of, she's the odd one out and she's bullied for it. And when she starts killing people, she starts using her body parts, and she's like making, I guess it's supposed to be like, I think, like the perfect boyfriend or the perfect best friend. So you get like a
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein meets
Yeah.
Carrie, and it's like, wow, Rian Johnson worked on that. And I just glossed over Brick, and Brick looks like a horror film as well. So I'm pretty sure that oh, it's a neo noir mystery theater. Well, your fucking poster shows me it looks like a fucking horror film. Oh my god, this is why I don't like many movie posters of today's world and everything. But um, but yeah, so like, yeah, this man has actually been working in the business for quite a long time, and we've only just have recently heard of him since 2012. I guess we can go far back that I didn't
Loop.
know he directed Breaking Bad, but I knew him from Star Wars. That's
Yeah,
when I heard the first name. Uh,
Looper was his big first hit. Like that's what kind of put his name on the big stage.
yeah. Well, like also too at the same time, as much of like of a fan I am of Star Wars, I'm not like a super big fan. So when people were like telling me about Kathleen Kennedy had like ruined Star Wars, I legit thought she was just some new name. And it like kind of compared to wrestling. Yes, I'm gonna make a fucking wrestling analogy because I'm a wrestling fucking fan. But like Dixie Carter and Impact Wrestling, whenever she came in and it was called TNA Wrestling, they all rebranded to Impact Wrestling. and the whole fucking company went to shit. You know, and like I looked at it, it was like, oh, okay, so Kathleen Kennedy is kind of like the Dixie Carter of just film stuff. But I actually found out that Kathleen Kennedy's actually been with the Star Wars franchise for quite a long time. I
Yeah,
think she was there for the prequels, if I remember correctly.
she's been with Lucas for a while. I think he actually handpicked her to like head up Lucasfilm before Disney actually bought it,
Yeah.
because I think he like
So
kind
she
of
came
stepped
in through the
down.
acquisition
Yeah,
and everything.
she
But
she
still,
survived
it's
that.
all like all this hate from whenever the sequel trilogy, and everyone's like Kathleen Kennedy ruined Star Wars,
I mean,
and then when I
she's
go look back at her credits, I was like, oh, she was part of the prequel. I actually like the prequel
sh
trilogies. With everything with Jabba the Hutt and all those senator meetings, I still enjoy.
that
You
was all
know,
like George Lucas though. She
yeah,
like if you read interviews about like that she's in, like she says stuff like there's not a lot of stuff that Star Wars can pull from, even though there's like 1,500 like expanded universe books, and
yeah,
so I you get the sense that she's kind of like the creatively bankrupt head of Lucasfilm and doesn't really understand what
yeah.
she's in charge of, and kind of is
Well,
hoping for people below her to like just she's a penny, she seems like a penny pusher, like
yeah.
penny pincher kind of
I'm
role.
I'm going to shout out my good old boy Still in Flux, who is a Twitch streamer, and uh, I generally like to see him as a best friend of sorts. We ended up actually having a conversation uh, because I shared a meme about Slipstream, which was a film made right after I think the Star Wars movies. I think it was right before Return of the Jedi, or I think it was right after Return of the Jedi, and essentially it's Mark Hamill in it with bleach hair, a beard, and like he's kind of like dressed almost like he could be like an Empire. I still need to see the movie, but like it has like Bill Paxton. It's
Oh,
like a
I think
really
I've
really
seen that picture that you're
it
talking about. Like he looks
yeah
really like
it's on Tubi. I've seen the meme go around
uh,
for quite a bit, and it's sitting there saying we could have had this Dark Empire story. So when I asked Flux about it, and he's like, "Oh, I don't really know too much about that." And so I found out that that was actually a comic book, which is fucking hard to get. It's hard to fucking find. Um, but
is
he
that the
ended up
one
like
where
kind of
like
like
Lucas
huh?
like is that the one where Lucas turned into the dark side by an evil Palpatine clone, and like he's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
like
where
trying
they
to bring
got
him
the idea
down?
from these sequel trilogies with the Palpatine clone
Yeah.
and everything. And it's like, oh, we could have had the Dark Empire. And from what I heard story wise, how Dark Empire, I'd have been a lot. I would have been far more accepting of the Emperor clone if that was. But it's sit there seen within the first story arc, like of it, that the Emperor like dies almost immediately. Like it's not stretched out between the three different volumes. It's like volume one is like the Emperor and the clone thing, and I was like, oh, okay, so there was this what if of what if the Emperor was harmed, that apparently I guess it's like his force spirit or whatever could occupy a clone that was made or something like that.
Yeah.
uh this is a Knives Out episode, folks, and we're talking Star Wars, so just bear with us.
We're
But yeah, so I
nerds.
ended up
Forgive us.
I learned about this. I was like, wow, we could have had this. I could have actually been behind this. And like you still could have done the prequel trilogy, later on. Like Ian McGregor still looks fucking good for his age. He could have played a convincing Obi-Wan, and so could Liam Neeson for Qui-Gon. But yeah, I kind of really wish that we got, while Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill were still kind of young, that they could have played that storyline. But then like he ended up telling me that I need to listen to the Thrawn audiobook, which I hate listening to audiobooks and everything. I like reading it by myself.
Yeah.
So right after that whole conversation, I ended up adding all of the Thrawn trilogy to my Amazon wish list. And it's like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna read this and then get fucking pissed off at Kathleen Kennedy for not tapping this. Like Marvel Comics books, right there. You had like a whole run. You could have made your trilogy right there. Um, and then
Well,
you could have did somewhere in between there. You could have did the Thrawn books, or
we
you could
might
have
be
just did
getting the
one.
Thrawn books in some form in the new Ahsoka series. Is
Yeah,
thanks to
yeah.
good creative people like Dave Filoni, which who actually worked
Who
with
cares
Lucas.
about the material and
Yeah, he
everything? And
worked with Lucas throughout the Clone Wars animated series, and he did the Rebels series, and he's set up all the pieces to have a nice little
did
Thrawn
did
uh,
he
arc.
connect? or did he co-create with the Mandalorian co-creators, if I remember right?
I think he did.
They
Yeah,
yeah.
I think he got with
I
John
keep forgetting his
Favreau.
name, but yeah, John Favreau. There you go.
Yeah,
He's such a fucking wonderful director, and yet I freaking forget his name. Mostly because I'm fucking tired.
like a lot of the
But
Clone Wars is like thanks to Dave Filoni and George Lucas. So
oh, someday I will sit through Clone Wars and not skip all the way to season 8 just so I could watch the fucking Bad Batch and Rebels. You know what? No, no. Okay, so I went through. I only watched the YouTube video that summed up season 1 through 7, so I could watch season 8, and then I got into Rebels.
yeah,
But at the same time that I was watching that, that's when Bad Batch was coming out. So I think I simultaneously watched those. I still need to finish season 1 of Bad Batch because I thought it was only going to have a small episode thing, and
he only had like
um,
10 episodes, I think.
yeah,
But I don't remember.
I have so much to watch it, and they're dropping season 2, and it's like, oh my god, when the fuck am I going to find time? Everyone is giving me all these movies, all these shows, all these books to read, and I only have so much freaking damn time in my busy schedule. Um, but yeah, so back to Rian Johnson. Back to Rian Johnson. Folks, do try to look out if you guys actually want to be generous, and anyone can find the Dark Empire trilogy. That's like that'd be a nice Christmas gift you guys can get me. Like I would fucking like steal an arm and a leg just for that because it's such an interesting story from what I've heard, and it's like I want to read these. I want to read these. So there you go, folks. Christmas present for me.
Yeah,
I'm manifesting and putting that out there. That and the Thrawn trilogy. That I can get on myself because they're like really really cheap books. But yeah, kind of really wish that those are being adapted. Kind of glad that they are somewhat being adapted, but I kind of really wish it'll be a book because I know once I read the fucking book, it's like I wish Luke was here. Not Ahsoka. I have nothing against Ahsoka. I love the
Ahsoka's
character. I thought,
amazing, sir.
yeah, but I like to fucking have the book. I like to have the book be interpreted as the book is. I'm just one of those crazy fucking nut jobs. Or so I've been self-discovering myself here. I'm just fucking nuts. Uh,
It's
so
okay,
Ryan Johnson, Ryan
buddy. It's
Johnson,
okay, buddy.
Knives Out, Knives Out. Oh my god, this is a wonderful, wonderful mystery. I love the Agatha Christie style stories. Always, my favorite one was Murder on the Orient Express. I have the audio, not the audio, the ebook of that, and I have the Halloween Party or the yeah, I think it's called the Halloween Party, uh, which is like the latter years of Agatha Christie, where it's like this 13-year-old's bragging that they've seen a murder, and then they go home from the party, and like the next day they find this girl has been fucking drowned in a bin where they did the bobbing for apples. I was like, Agatha Christie has no fucking damn chill factor in her later years. So you kind of get this with Ryan Johnson's
Grumpy
Knives
old
Out.
lady.
Yeah. Shit, there's probably some neighbor's kid pissed her off. It's like, I'm gonna write you in a fucking book and take care of you. So
That's what you get,
yeah,
you
Knives Out.
monster.
Um, Something that probably should have been when they did Glass Onion, they should have added a subtitle for this movie of saying it's a Benoit Blanc mystery, so that they could have did like all these like little book things, kind of because like they don't have Agatha Christie's Hercule Poirot, however you say the name. I
You read
apologize.
a article that like he was kind of mad that they added a Knives Out mystery to the title of Glass
Really,
Onion. Yeah, he was kind of
really.
like because he wanted that kind of aesthetic. Like he wants them to be like standing separate from each other. You know, he doesn't want people to like.
Like the Agatha Christie, like yeah, they were called
Yeah,
Agatha Christie novels, but they were never like Murder on the Orient Express 2.
yeah,
They were their own intricate mysteries, and the only reoccurring characters were the investigator and then maybe one of the other two people that could have helped on the investigation previously.
yeah.
And yeah, with Glass Onion, you had LeBlanc, not LeBlanc,
And Mont Blanc,
you had Blanc. There you go. I'm sorry, I got the Friends guy stuck in my fucking head. I'm not gonna be there for you.
Joey.
Um, Fucking can't stand Joey. I just can't stand fucking Friends. I don't understand the appeal. But also too, I'm a fucking Office fan, and I know a lot of people shit on that too. Um, but yeah, so it's a Blanc mystery. It's pretty much what it's a Benoit Blanc mystery, and that's probably what it should have just been labeled as. Um, but yeah, we're here focusing on Knives Out. a very, very well done linear story that does heavily in flashbacks, and it's kind of like a softer way of doing non-linear storytelling while making it linear to like David Fincher's Fight. I think it's Fight Club that was non-linear. No, no. What's that one with Jared Leto where he's like fucking hopped up on smack?
I think you're thinking of Requiem for a Dream, but
Yeah, I think the
haven't seen
timeline
that.
on there was all over the place.
Yeah,
Um,
but
and Memento was like one that like it actually all took place like in reverse,
yeah, it
if I
was
remember
a linear
correctly.
story, but told backwards because
Yeah,
you see
so
the last scene first.
I enjoy stories like that. You know, it kind of gets it gets the brain bobbling because when you're trying to watch it and you're like, okay, I'm understanding this, and then it's like, oh wait, like we just went back somewhere. So it's like it makes your brain work, and I like murder mysteries that do that.
Yeah,
And there's very few murder mysteries I really enjoy. Like I like Clue. To me, when I think murder mysteries, I think of Clue. You know, the most comedy aesthetic of it all, uh but yeah, like this was a really, really good, well written script. It was linear while also not being linear. The setups, holy shit, come on! Like I have to sit there and give it to him. Even in Glass Onion, he knows Ryan Johnson knows how to do his setups. Like one of the key things in storytelling is like you set something up for it to pay off later on. I gotta sit there and say Ryan Johnson does fucking phenomenal work in uh and this one and Glass Onion and a couple of his movies. Not Last Jedi, I can fucking guarantee you that. But I know I'm gonna shit on that fucking movie
go
for the remainder
Last
of this
Jedi,
episode.
go
I
Last
love you.
Jedi.
I love you, Ryan Johnson. I love your murder mysteries. I kind of like Bruce Willis and Looper, but I it's kind of hard to forgive what you did, but also pretty sure it's kind of out of his hand for what happened. I'm pretty sure he wasn't one that fucking signed off on the script too. It was like, hurry up rewrites, and then they're like, that's a okay, and he's over here, it's like, oh my god, this is fucking bad. Uh,
But back to Knives Out.
Knives Out. We might as well label this episode, me shitting on fucking Ryan Johnson and everything.
uh,
Chris is trying to keep me on track here, folks. We're both fucking tired. It's been a week, but Chris is going to keep me on track before he passes out. So, yeah, Chris, what were your thoughts when reading the script?
I thought it was a fun script. It was a fun little mystery. You are introduced to Marta very early, and you get really attached to her really quick. Like you see, he properly sets up the protagonist. He gives
Mm-hmm.
her a flaw, and that flaw is kind of important when it comes to a murder mystery. You can't lie, or else if you
Yeah,
do, you vomit, and you are visibly showing that you are lying. So when she's shown, when it's revealed that she knows the true story of what happened, and she's kind of like in trouble, like because it looks like
yeah.
she's responsible for the Harlan Thrombey's death, and she's like having to keep it a secret, and so she like gets away
Who
with it.
is a murder mystery writer? You
Yeah,
know,
this
and
is like a
again,
little love letter to murder mysteries.
yeah, but like also at the same time, it's kind of funny because this movie isn't called Glass Onion, but this movie has so much layers like an onion.
Yeah,
But yet later on, you get the whole donut, which again, even reading it, I can't help but fucking hear Daniel Craig's southern accent. Of we're looking at a hole in a donut that just isn't whole. And yeah, reading that iconic line, it's yeah. This film has a lot of smart dialogue, very, very smart dialogue. It kind of made me wonder where why didn't he ever come out with this first? Like, I kind of really wish that this was like the beginning of his career instead of like some of the other ones like Looper and everything, where to me it kind of felt like, oh, okay, this is just kind of like your I don't know. To me, it's almost like you kind of like your follow paint by numbers time travel action thing. And then Star Wars, it still felt like a paint by numbers. But then when you get to Knives Out, this feels like it's a totally different director, a totally different storyteller, and I love this. I kind of really wish that Ryan Johnson came out of the park with this fucking punch. That had definitely knocked people out of their fucking seats. There's this guy who came in and he is, in a sense, kind of redefining the murder mystery genre of today. Because really, like, can you sit there and actually think of a murder mystery before Knives Out that was actually very much memorable?
Not off the top of my head.
Exactly. Clue is probably the one American one that people can look at, but they laugh at it because it's played for the comedy. And then, of course, you have the BBC's. They call it a series. I call it a fucking movie series. Is more like it because they do like hour and a half episodes. It's like that's a movie. Um, but they have like the Agatha Christie presents stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
and those are always really fun. Like they're not super complex, but they make it, they make it fun to watch and everything. And you're like, oh, like I'm picking up the clues here. I think I know who is the murderer. This right here just keeps you guessing. Uh, I feel like this is the murder mystery to change all murder mysteries, and now this should be the blueprint going forward. Um, with that genre of storytelling of film and everything, that this should now become the new blueprint of this is how you set up, pay off, hide all the clues. So of course at the same time too, you just look at Chris Evans fucking shit and he grin. It's like that's the bad guy right there. He's right there. He's right there. He's smiling at us.
That is like one of the like kind of cons of the movie. Like as in the
Yeah.
beginning of the movie, you're kind of like he gives us 4 or 5 like prime suspects in the
Mm-hmm.
murder mystery, and they all write off Ransom as like he wasn't there, so he couldn't have done it. He left early, and
Yeah.
like you give each of them murder motives for the murder, like a
Mm-hmm.
cheating husband, someone's been stealing money from Harlan. Forgot what the other girl did, but
I actually do have it written down here. So Walt Harlan's son has been removed from the publishing house because he keeps pushing Harlan
yeah,
to have his books be adapted to TV, the
yeah,
film. And Harlan just doesn't. He doesn't want to be like an Agatha Christie or anything. He doesn't want people to ruin his writing, quote unquote.
and he feels guilty because all he did was
Yeah,
like he made his son like kind of control what he did, and
yeah.
instead of like going out and creating something of his own.
But
And
also
like
too, Walt
yeah,
though Walt was looking out for father and the whole family. Of imagine this money pit. Like you don't have to write another book, Dad, if you don't want to, or if you can't. We can. You can easily kind of live off this. Though really, Harlan just by the books alone, Harlan can live off the rest of his freaking life with that. He didn't really
yeah,
need the things, but
it's
Walt
kind
was
of when you're
looking
like
at.
you're
Walt
Harlan's
was just a businessman. That's
he's
what he
the
was.
head of the family that feels guilty for like kind of like just lifting babying his kids, and
Mm-hmm.
like just kind of taking care of them without like
Because he made an
giving them
empire
the
from the
push
ground
to
up.
create something else. I mean, his
Yeah,
daughter created her own business, but like she
yeah.
used a
Played
loan
by Jamie
from
Lee
her
Curtis,
father.
Linda. I fucking love her
Yeah,
character, especially how quick she turns on Marta. It's like you were sleeping
yeah.
with him, you bitch, and it's like, oh my god, that's a Jamie Lee Curtis line right there. You know,
The whole
I
family
can
is
roll
just
with
like, you
that.
were fucking my grandfather. How dare you?
I love how that's like the first thing. I know we're getting ahead here, but
Yeah,
when that will went through and how quick that family turned like a pack of hyenas,
yeah.
I was like, damn. That's
And
like,
Ransom
and
being
I'm
the only
talking,
cool-headed one.
yeah, and I'm
Oh
talking
man.
like Key and Peele, like, damn, like,
Yeah.
but yeah. So
But
you have Richard that is cheating on his wife. Um, Again, I didn't sit there and think that he was gonna be the villain, but like at the same time, it's like he's just a dickhead.
yeah.
You have Joni, which is the daughter-in-law. I can't remember who was married to Joni, and because she was a daughter-in-law, so I can't remember. I don't know if that son had passed on. I can't really remember
I
because there's so many family members. So like you lose track, even through reading the script, you lose track of them because the
I
only
think
people
they
you
did have a second son that passed away. That's why she's their
yeah.
daughter's still bloods and getting college tuition. So like I
Yeah,
think
so
that's
she's
why
getting the
she's still
college
stuck around.
college tuition while Joni gets the she gets her allowance as well, but she's been double dipping in both family funds
Yeah.
and her own daughter's college tuition, which again, like how much of a fucking mess of a person do you have to be to fucking dip in your kid's college
She's
tuition?
a
It's
gold
like
digger.
your education. I gotta sit there and fund my next fucking, yoga seminars and whatever bullshit.
Yeah.
And then you got Ransom, which is the grandson of Harlem and the son of Richard and Linda, who has cut ties out of the will. Mostly because Harlan just believes that Ransom actually has it in him to start his own empire. But in order to do that, he has to cut him off. And
Yeah.
Harlan isn't that hard ass. Like what you said, he's led the family and he's babied them for so long that he's kind of realized that these people can't fend for themselves once I die. They're
Yeah.
just gonna fucking go at each other's throats and
They're
figure out
just
how much
coasting off
money
my
that they're gonna get.
success.
Yeah, and
It's hurting their personalities.
so we're more or less we're already in the hero's journey here. We're exploring the ordinary world. So this kind of takes place a week after Harlan Thrombey's death. The family isn't being 100% cooperative with the police. Benoit Blanc is sitting in the back. He's listening to all of these stories, all these backgrounds. Where were you the night of Harlan's death? He's listening to all of this while the two other police detectives, one that's like a complete fucking fanboy, which to me that has to be Rian Johnson. That he had to have written himself in there that like, oh my god, like I'm such a big fan, and because he loved the Agatha Christie books, and um, I'm actually happy that for someone that's such a big fan of that, he didn't do the same shit like most people who do. That it's like, oh, I'm gonna adapt Agatha Christie for the 10th millionth fucking time. It's all like, oh my god, create your own story or find a new fucking author that did this shit. Like he's made his own thing, and it feels like it could be an Agatha Christie novel, but it's a Rian Johnson mystery. Uh, that's what those subtitles should have been. That or a Benoit Blanc mystery.
Yeah.
Moving on. So yeah, we get the setup. We get Walt, Richard, Joni, and Ransom. Those are pretty much our main suspects. Marta, who is a private nurse, who again, like Chris mentioned, has an unusual case of vomiting if she tells a lie, and Blanc actually does put that into perspective. And um, the actress who plays her, I still cannot believe that this is the actress that played Marilyn Monroe. It shocks me.
On the Armas.
Anna de Armas, very fucking talented woman.
Goddess. Very
Um,
beautiful one.
but yeah, so the call to adventure is obviously Blanc informing the police, and I do believe this is the scene where they are talking to Marta, where he's Blanc has been hired by an anonymous client
Yeah.
to solve the murder of of um, Harlan, and legit to me
It's
because
it's not
huh
seen as a murder at this point because the police because he slit his own throat. It looks like a
yeah
suicide, but someone wants him to investigate anyways. That's why he's
yeah
here, and that's why the movie's kicked off.
we're given a suicide case that is going to be treated like a murder case, and um what was it I crap, I just lost my fucking train of thought.
But
um
yeah, so she's
okay, I think Blanc was when Blanc was revealing this information that he was hired by an unnamed source, that this was the interview when they were talking to Marta. Okay, so I
this was
remember. So
before the interview because
okay,
they're in the little lounge area, and he's
yeah,
talking to the detective on the case, and he's like, "I have no earthly idea who hired me, and I don't know why, but I'm compelled
yeah,
to investigate this."
yeah,
So yeah, and then they
and
are
he has the
introduced to Marta.
He has the Sherlock Holmes the Sherlock Holmes shakes of like, I have to solve a mystery.
Yeah,
It's something. I remember now what I was going to say when I was reading the script, because it's been a while since I've seen the film. I was actually wondering if Harlan had maybe hired just in the off case because of what happened between him and Ransom, that if Ransom would have pulled something. I was immediately thinking by this far in the script that I was reading, it's like, what if the off chances that Harlan was the one that hired him, like sent something that was supposed to reach Blanc by the time of his murder that would have been revealed as that had been shown as a suicide,
I feel like that
and
would have been
that
gone too far because like
yeah, yeah,
who who in there do you really think a member of your family would go as far to murder you?
I don't
I
know
mean,
if I'm a
he gave
fucking
him a
murder
good
mystery
reason,
guy. Yeah,
because
but
he's
if
brought
I'm
him
a
out of the
murder
will.
mystery guy, I've written all these books, and I know that maybe one of my family members has that mentality of, oh, they could kill me for all my wealth and everything and try to cover it up. Why not sit there and have a fucking well-renowned private investigator come investigate it? And again, Harlan has played games before, you know, uh, and it's the games that he plays with Marta. You know, that's kind of like why I looked at it as like, oh, you know what, like the off chances. But again, this script throughout all of this, like, it makes you question who is the killer, you know, or who is the culprit,
To a degree.
to a degree. Like, no matter what, when you're turning a page, your brain is still trying to figure the switch out. It's like, well, what if it's none of these guys? Because you've had murder mysteries that are like that, where you're giving a set of suspects and it's not either of the suspects. Sometimes it's a win or lose, because sometimes it's like, oh, that's
There's
brilliant
always the
because
dark horse
yeah,
candidate that no one expects, but
yeah,
seems to be the
and
culprit. Like
and
one piece
to,
of
to me, I
details.
already knew Joni could not have fucking sat there and killed it, because Joni doesn't look like she has many brain cells to rub together to get a thought.
Yeah.
I love Toni Collette's character so much, but I definitely know that there are some people in here that it's like, yeah, no, she couldn't fucking do that. She couldn't hit water if she fell out of a boat. Um, so yeah, so I know that's so fucking cruel, but I'm in a cruel kind of mood today. I'm sorry, folks. So yeah, so that's Blanc's kind of like call to adventure. And again, this isn't really Blanc's like story, but I kind of noticed that there are some times where Blanc does share a little bit of a story kind of curve with Marta. Like, most of the time they're together, so it kind of fits them both. But most of the time we're going to be covering Marta's story, because she is the main character. So for Marta, her call to adventure is when she thinks she's given Harlan the fatal shot. So this is now going back to the night that Harlan died. Uh, they're going through the usuals of, Harlan's kind of fight to not take his medicine, but he knows, I gotta take my medicine. Like, you know, it's that old person thing of, I don't want to take it, but I know I gotta, if I want to fucking function the next day. Um, so she's going through the usuals, and she ended up switching out the morphine for another medical thing. She got the dosage wrong, and Harlan has only so long to live.
Yeah, he'll be dead in 10 minutes.
Yes, and Harlan gives her this whole thought out mastermind plan, because again, he is a murder mystery writer, so you kind of figured this man is pretty fucking smart as well. So he gives her this whole thing of, she drives out for so long, once you pass the gates, past this one certain tree where the cameras aren't looking, and you scale up here, but first you have to make everyone know that you've left, and you have to do this and you have to do that. That has been her journey, and she follows it almost to an exact T.
She messes up
um,
on the video camera. She pulls in too early, and the camera
yeah,
catches her turn.
yeah. And there's also the what is it? I keep calling it a gondola in my head. It's not a gondola. It's the little thing that she climbed up on. Is it the no, not the veranda? What the fuck's it called?
I don't know.
Oh my god.
I don't know architecture.
I have it here somewhere in my fucking M notes. It was lattice. It was a window lattice.
Yeah,
Um, so when she was scaling that, there is this scene that you kind of like laugh at it, but like, it didn't. It's again, it's another little setup piece. But when she had to climb up and then go climb down, and it broke, the eldest member, or probably the second eldest member of the Thrombey family, the grandmama, ends
Harlan's
up
mother.
calling Marta Ransom. It's like, Ransom, are you back?
You're
And you're
back
like,
already?
oh shit, like, this damn woman's got fucking Alzheimer's, and she's, how the hell did you confuse that? Again, Alzheimer's. That's such a well put seed for later in the mystery. So yeah, so Marta goes through all of this, um, and like what Chris said, she kind of fumbles some of it. She doesn't really quite hit it, at the T and everything, because her life's in danger. And when she realized how she fucks up, she's having to cover her ass. Uh, so obviously
And
the refusal of the call is all in this one scene where she's begging Harlan to let her call the ambulance. They both know it's too late because since she injected with the wrong, the wrong thing that we
like the
know of at
closest
this moment.
hospital's like probably half hour away or something. So
Yeah,
yeah, he'll be dead.
he'd have died, and then she would have probably have faced prison time for killing him, even though it was all a complete accident. And Harlan knows that her mother is an illegal immigrant that is still trying to get her legal papers, and so she can become a citizen. So
And
Marta
another
is,
reason that we will not disclose just yet.
yeah, as long as Chris tells me to keep my big mouth shut. So yeah, again, like the first act moves by super fast because once we start crossing into the threshold of the story, it's pretty much Blanc asking Martha to join him in the investigation to search the grounds the next day.
Hmm.
Uh, this is when we really start seeing how smart she is, because we've seen her react. It's like, oh my god, it's like I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to remember everything that my dying best friend, because that's essentially what they are. They were best friends. When they would retire from the night when the family would go do their own thing in the house, Harlan and her would play, chess and all matters of kind of like brain teaser games.
She's very
It's what kept them
strategic
sharp.
and knows how to think
Yes,
a couple steps ahead, and
and
she
that's just what
you see
Harlan
that in
loves
her
about her,
character.
huh?
You see that in her character because when
Yes.
she's like, oh crap, I see that I pulled in before I should have, and so she gets the tape. She managed to wipe it with a magnet. She sees that the grounds had rained, so like her footsteps are on the in the ground, and she like walks and covers her footsteps and tramples over them and ruining the crime scene before they can tell her not to do that. She
Mm-hmm.
tries to get rid of the broken piece of the house that she
The
fell off of,
lattice.
the lattice. Yeah, and
Yeah.
she's trying to like stay
This
one
really
step ahead of
the
Blanc,
test
and
allies and enemies definitely do show her smarts,
yeah,
and you feel for Blanc because Blanc's all like, what are you doing? And
yeah,
it's like, oh, I'm sorry, and it's like I'd be like, get this bitch off my fucking damn, off the property and everything, off my crime scene because it's messing up and every, uh, and you kind of figured that already. He would have pointed out. It's like, oh, she's covering something up. Blanc's he's not a blockhead. It's like he's smart too, and we'll figure out just exactly how smart he is later on in the story. Uh, and with with Marta covering her tracks from all of this, uh, we have the approach, and this is when Ransom arrives for the reading of the will, and just his arrival pissed off everyone because it's all like, oh, you skipped the funeral, but you go for
the will
the
reading
will and
to
everything.
get
We
your
def
money.
Yeah, it's like we all know what you're here for and everything. And there's already been a fucking fight, and there's a fist fight with Walt's son Jacob overhearing Harlan and Ransom's argument because they sit there and they mention, why are you here for the will when Walt's son overheard that you were cut out, so you're not going to get anything.
Yeah,
uh, so it's like, why are you showing up? Which, Ransom has his reasons. It's like, I'm not going to miss a fireworks show, especially one this big. Uh, and this is, I think, right around the time where you have that another iconic scene where he's telling Joni and everyone to eat shit.
yep,
Which, again, only Chris Evans can go from being Star Spangled Banner, fucking Captain America, good old a good old boy, and then switch to this very charismatic and very relaxed villain that's like, eat shit. You too. You eat shit. You eat shit, and it's like, and then he goes back to playing Captain America.
yeah. He's a
It
really
just goes to
talented
it.
actor.
Very very talented, but one, he's definitely talented because if you've seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World, oh shit, seeing him play what 7 different versions of himself.
Hmm?
Remember, because his character multiplies when he's fighting Scott.
Oh, he does. Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, yeah,
I need to
because
rewatch
like
it.
like
I remember he's like a rock star or some shit, right?
he's a
Or
skateboarder.
oh, a skateboarder.
But
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I think he was a rock star too because it was like the whole music scene. It seemed like Scott's lady just dated a lot of musicians
Yeah.
um, and
She's a groupie.
but yeah, Chris Evans's character was like this evil skateboarder with like the most fucking evil like what I forgot what beard you call it, but it's like going all the way to the sides and everything, and it's just how he smiles and he looks. It's like, why hasn't this
Oh, it's like
guy?
a chin strap beard or some shit. It
Yeah,
looks
but
horrible.
he makes it look so fucking good and so
Yeah.
fucking intimidating. And it's like, why hasn't he played so many cartoonish villains like this? He has that look and that fucking charm, and it's that smile. It's all like, oh my god. Again, I know this is a story fucking podcast, and we're talking about Chris Evans' acting chops. I love the guy. He went from fucking Johnny Storm to having a banana between his ass crack and not another teen movie
Yeah, that's
to
a
like
classic.
it's all like, oh, like, I like a you like a banana split. Oh, I'm pretty privileged to Sundays. Oh, that's too bad. He just freaking walks away and has a banana stuck in between his ass. It's And I love the meme that came out years later where people were like, "This is my Chris Evans," and it's Captain America, and then down below it's like I remember Chris Evans from his origins, and he's still walking away with a banana between his butt cheeks, and it's fucking sad but true. This is my first memory of the guy. Oh my god. I'm sorry.
All
So
right.
yeah, so Blanc ends up discovering right when he's starting to hear all the clatter on the inside of the house of Ransom essentially starting a fucking argument. And Blanc discovers the missing lattice because one of the dogs brings it to him. Which again, this is kind of like one of those things where Marta thought she got rid of one of the clues, and the fucking dog had to come
Brings it
and
right back because it thinks claim
fuck it
finished.
up right for her. And obviously Blanc knows, okay, so someone has scaled this, of the tape that's been erased, of the steps that have been trampled on, and now it's no longer viable evidence. Now he's got himself something. And when we go to the ordeal of all of this, when Marta and Blanc are going in, we pretty much learn that she has inherited all of the assets and the estates of Thrombey Manor.
Mhm.
And this is where, again,
The
we talked
family
about
gets
earlier.
zipped.
Exactly. You were fucking him. And it's like, oh my God, that's the first damn thing that comes out. You were
Uh,
fucking him because
I
the family
mean,
didn't get a single fucking thing. And it's
to
like,
be fair, who wouldn't like think that? Like a
true.
young, beautiful woman just hanging out with an old man. Like like from
I don't know.
earlier, she's
Like,
like, he just wanted a friend. I'm in this
I
nursing.
think
He
Christopher
wanted a
Plummer
friend.
looks pretty fucking damn
But
hot.
like,
If he had all that shit right there, I fucking date Christopher
yeah, I
Plummer
mean,
and be a gold digger.
yeah, but like, yeah, I mean, at the same time, you can't blame the family for reacting that way. They just lost their golden
Yeah,
goose.
they just lost it. They were already in a shouting match with fucking Ransom, who had
Yeah,
already had turned the family rabid already. So this right here just popped the cork off everything. No time to actual think, it was all reaction, you
yeah,
know. And of course, um, Blanc is trying to get Marta out of there before the family just rips her to shreds, you know. And who do you know? It's freaking Ransom. Ransom was able to get into his freaking car, which already I think Ransom had already. This is all part of his plan, but but Ransom had. I also really do think that Ransom knew the whole damn time that Marta was going to get it all. Uh, but yeah, so Ransom is in his car. He goes and picks her up. Blanc's stuck there with the family. Uh, and yeah, we leave Thrombey Estate for a diner where Ransom is talking to Marta. We've reached the reward now, which we're kind of closing out Act Two. Again, the story moves by so quick. It moves by so quick, and we're right now at the reward. Ransom saves Marta from the family and confesses that he knows Harlan didn't kill himself, which already kind of more or less criminalizes him. That it's like, well, how would you know that Harlan did not kill himself? You
yeah. I mean,
know,
it's played up, but like, come on, I know my grandfather. There's no way he would have done that. So like,
exactly. And
he pushes her for the real story. He gets her to eat some food and uh kind of uh, I guess pushes her pressures her to tell the truth.
Well, yeah, because when she realizes that after eating sausage and beans that, oh, he was filling her stomach up.
Yeah,
So if she did puke, he would sit there and know, like, there was actual viable evidence for him to know you lie to me and everything. And Ransom is not dumb whatsoever, because I think before Marta came around, Ransom was the guy that Harlan very much bonded with, because they were so much alike,
hmm,
and the arguments that they would have. And I'm pretty sure they did the same thing like what him and Marta did, where they did play brain teaser games together. They played their
yeah,
chess, they played their backgammons. That was like his little buddy. And then when he kind of realizes, oh, my little buddy's not really kind of pushing the initiative in life to build his own empire, because that's all what Harlan wanted. He wanted his children to be happy, but he also wanted his children to have something that was theirs, so they didn't have to rely on him completely. Like, the
yep.
money would be there, but he didn't want to make it always be a necessity of, oh, it's okay if my empire fails because daddy's money is going to fucking save us.
He wanted to take
And,
away their safety net.
yeah. And it's funny, taking away the safety net to try to sit there and benefit them. You figure out how many monsters you fucking pretty much raised or just, had tied to the family. But yeah, so uh, you know, uh, Marta confesses. She tells her the whole thing, uh, and Ransom promises to, kind of keep his lid shut if she actually gives him what was promised in the will.
Gives him
Uh,
half the inheritance.
yeah,
Like, I'll help you get away with this because as long as you give me half the money, and then I won't turn you in.
yeah. Which again, you kind of knew from the family, a family of con artists, or not all con artists, but some of them are. That, you know what, Ransom smart. He knows how to play the fucking game. Um, and back at the estate, the family is so damn quick to work with the police and to work with Blanc of,
Yeah,
like,
that
we,
poor
we got to get
lawyer,
our
man.
money back. We got to get
Like,
our
he's just
money.
like, it's airtight, man. That she has everything. They're like, come on, can't there be a way to like get the money away from her? This can't be legal. She's not really blood related, but like, he's just like, this is how he wanted it. And, like, come on,
Yeah.
there's got to be a loophole.
And surprisingly, Joni, the one person in the fucking room, decides to, like, look up, well, what about the Slayer rule? It's like, how the fuck did you know this?
She's thought about
Who
murdering him.
fucking keeps this?
she, she's
You
like,
know,
if
it's like,
I
what about the
murder him, how
Slayer
do I
rule?
like
Which,
protect myself? Oh, there is a Slayer rule. Oh shit.
yeah. So for folks that don't understand what the Slayer rule is, if the person who has been awarded the inheritance through the will, if they had uh,
They
any
were involved in
connection to the
the
person's
death.
death,
Yeah.
then they would lose it, and it would kind of go down to the next of kin. Which the family's gonna be swinging on this. It's like, well, she had to kill him. Well, technically, they're kind of right, kind of, Chris. um, and oh my god.
The
And
only
so
thing
yeah,
is,
so
she didn't know that she was getting the inheritance at all. That's the big secret that Harlan wanted to
yeah,
keep. That's why
because when
she had to not get caught for murder.
yeah, and to sit there and to have this, to have it shocked and enthroned. And for one, I fucking feel for Marta to have all of this shit thrown at you on one fucking damn day. This is one bad fucking damn day. uh and then to sit there and have the fucking little shit of the family feed your ass full of fucking good food, and then sit there and say, don't lie to me, and fucking throw up that fucking food I just bought. But the next day, we go to the next day. We're already in Act 3. Really, like, what? There are about 3 days that really occupied this. Like, yeah, there's the 1 week gap, but you have the night of the murder,
Mm-hmm.
the day of the investigation, and then the next day. So this is like really like a 3 day event, but there is some time gaps in between,
Yeah.
some long ones. Um, so now we're on the quote unquote final day. It's the road back. Uh, Marta's family ends up learning that they're rich, and like the fucking
Yeah.
publicity, everything is out there. Um,
The
Marta
nurse
ends up,
got the
huh?
money, the inheritance. This is the biggest news ever. So
Yeah,
news has a field day, and like her life is upended here.
yeah. It's like when in what's the money up for the Powerball? I know
Oh,
the
it's like,
Powerball is like up to like a
yeah, it's
billion
like 500
something.
million right now.
Oh, is it only 500 million? Yeah, and they still haven't found the fucking guy for it. So it's almost like, yeah, you won that. You've won
Yeah.
that Powerball lottery. And Marta receives a threatening letter that blackmails her. That Sethter says, "I know what you did." There is a
The
there is
drug
an address where to
toxicology
meet.
report.
The toxicology report that sit there and shows what happened. And so her and Ransom cover it all up by fucking committing arson, which again, this isn't making her look
Well,
any great. Like,
she didn't, when they he got with her. She came to Ransom and said
yeah,
somebody knows, and so like they decided they're gonna go to the lab, but the lab
yeah.
when they arrive has been burned down, and Benoit Blanc and the detective are there
But like they're
investigating
already there
already.
to begin with, so it already
Yeah,
makes them look like a suspect to begin with. We kind of are
sort
figuring
of
together
returning to the
that
scene of the crime.
yes, uh, or just covering it up because we haven't yet returned to the scene of crime yet. We still got some traveling to do because there's like a car chase after the the medical examiner's building, which had supposedly the only other copy of the toxicology report burned up. And Marta, of course, catches up with Blanc. Um, and she's kind of trying to tell him the truth of what she's into because she's just kind of realized that she's hopped out of the frying pan and she's fucking in the fire right now.
Well, I
And
mean, after the police catch up to her, and her and Ransom in the car, they
yeah,
arrest Ransom because Benoit had a little talk with the grandma, and she reveals to Benoit that she saw Ransom return on the night of
yeah,
the suicide. So the
but
police
what
arrest
we
Ransom.
see
Huh?
yeah, but what we see is when Marta went there and then Grandmama said Ransom,
Yeah,
which throws us
that's
off
what.
that Ransom was there beforehand before Marta came.
Yeah, so that now they're heading to the police station, but Marta still has to make that meeting with the person who's blackmailing her.
Yeah,
So she takes
she
off
sneaks
with
off.
Benoit, and they take a little detour, and
Mm-hmm.
they she meets up with she meets at the location where the note says.
Yeah, with what is it? Fran, who was
Yep,
the
the housekeeper.
the housekeeper, who didn't they mention somewhere in that damn script that like she kept weed like hidden somewhere in the
Yeah,
house?
she has a secret stash kind of that I
Which
think her and
I kind of feel if you have to clean that
granddaughter.
whole fucking damn house, you're gonna have to fucking have like some good tunes and a bag of fucking weed to
Yeah.
really dust that place. Um, so yeah, so Marta goes to the address and everything, and they find the toxicology report,
Well, no, I mean
which
the toxicology report isn't there, but she finds Fran, who has been tied
yes,
up and kind of drugged, or with a lethal
it
dose of morphine, just like
yeah,
how Thrombey is supposed to have died.
yeah,
And she says, it was you," and like uh, she there's a character moment here where Marta can either leave Fran to die and get
mm-hmm.
away with the murder, but she is a good person, and she gets out her phone and calls the police, and they take Fran to the hospital.
Yeah, and she stood there and she gave mouth to mouth resuscitation, and she
Yep.
kept her ass going. I think it was mouth to mouth. It was that or it was CPR. It was one. It was one. She stayed with her and she made sure that this woman was not going to die because she is a good person. But unknown to us, because this is the end of our road back and going to our confrontation, our resurrection for the character. Um, we figure out that doing this one good deed actually saves Marta's ass
Yep.
because she confesses to Blanc about everything at the hospital, the involvement, ransom, and Blanc already knew that Marta had something to do with the murder because he spotted a fleck of blood on her shoes
Yep.
that she has been walking around and the whole time. And I think this is like where she came back up and she found that Harlem had cut his throat.
No, this was, yeah, yeah.
No,
Well, she was. he told her to leave, and she like goes down the stairs, and then she has a second of, no, I can't do this. So she goes back up to the room, and she's like, Harlan, I can't do this, and he slits his throat, and the spray is across the room.
Yeah,
One little drop gets on her shoe, and then she
yeah.
leaves again. Like, oh my
that,
god.
that, that- that's one of the big confrontations when Benoit and Marta confront the family. And then the family's like over here, it's like, you can just give us back our money. And it's like, oh my God, you fucking savages. Like, your fucking father could have possibly been murdered, not suicide. And you fuckers are still thinking all about the fucking money.
So
Um,
she chooses to confess to the family, but just before so, she gives Benoit the toxicology report, and she's about to confess, he reads it and cuts her off and says, "We will not be ruling this as a murder. This is a suicide. Marta gets to keep the inheritance, and all of y'all should be ashamed of yourselves
mhm.
because y'all have been treating this poor young lady like crap." So
And it's the one time that
he
Blanc
rips
again
into them
had to
pretty
lie
good.
to Marta because whenever he explains everything, that Harlan's toxicology is, yeah, it's clear,
Yeah,
it's fine. He
he
didn't
found
die.
the he found the little donut hole inside the donut,
Yeah,
as he was saying.
this is where you
He's
get
like,
that monologue.
uh, this,
There is a hole inside our donut hole, and it's
yeah.
not whole, and it's like, oh my God.
This is what he needed, and it all clicks for him together now.
This is his Hercule moment
Yep.
to to pull off, and he ends up lying to Marta to mostly keep it because with Ransom being there, he does sit there and say that, Marta, I did lie to you that Fran um, did not survive,
No,
and so
we we jumped ahead here.
Oh, did we
Yeah,
jump
we
ahead?
jumped ahead because
All
he
right,
brings up
where did I fuck up?
he pulls Marta into the main room where with the chair and the knife wall and everything, and he gets the detective. He's like, "Go grab so and so and keep the rest of the family out because he's gonna get everyone and he's gonna explain the whole situation of what happened, and he's gonna prove that Marta is innocent." And
Yeah,
he sets up the morphine and the sleeping drip, whatever other drug that she used on him that night, and
it's
covers the
not really
labels.
specified in that script. All we know is morphine was one of them.
Yeah,
Um,
but he sets it up so he gets everyone in. Then Ransom comes in. He's like, Marta, I'm sorry. I tried to talk to them and I tried to tell them you weren't involved. And basically, Benoit goes over what happened. Ransom was cut out of the will, so he came up with a plan to come back, switch the drugs labels on the bottles, and so
mm-hmm.
Marta would give Harlan the wrong dosage and effectively kill him, making her the murderer and cutting her out of the will and giving the money back to the family.
Yeah,
So he he does this really well. He like, Marta, go pick up the morphine, and she like picks up one bottle, and then she sets it back down and picks it up the correct bottle, and he's like, how did you know? And
yeah,
she's like, I just do. It's the weight of the liquid. And he reveals that the toxicology was when Harlan knocked over the game board early in the. I don't think we went over this, but he knocks over the game board, and he knocks over the drugs, and she picks it up and like does her thing and gives him the dosage. She picked up the correct one and gave him the correct dosage, even though the label on the bottle was
was
incorrect.
incorrect. Yeah,
So he deduces that Ransom came back, switched the labels, and so when uh, Harlan was murdered, but it was ruled a suicide, he did an anonymous contact to Benoit with a envelope full of money and a newspaper clipping because he
yeah,
couldn't outright say that Harlan was murdered, but like he knew something had messed up, so he needed Benoit to investigate, and he needed Benoit to mark Marta as the prime suspect. So yeah, I,
yeah. It's a
but
whole
like
lot to like unfold, but you have all of this stuff that goes through. Again, like we're like past spoilers, but I would have advised probably like before we even talked, we started talking about the hero's journey in the actual film, that you guys actually watched the film and you guys read the script. You can find the script on scriptlab.com. So continue with.
It's a so paints Ransom as the main perpetrator of the whole suicide, and he's the true murderer.
Yeah,
So Marta basically like says, "Yeah, he did this, he did that. Like it all makes sense now, I guess." So they managed to get Ransom to kind of confess, like, so what? She got away with she didn't mess up, and what do you got me on? Attempted murder. And Marta gets a phone call from the hospital saying Fran is alive, and that she's talking, and she says that Ra- Ransom, whose real name is Hugh, they mentioned that earlier in the script too.
yeah.
He just makes everyone go call him Ransom, even though Fran calls him Hugh
That's like the
just to mess with
nickname
him.
that he's given. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also,
So
too, being named Ransom and you're in a murder mystery, like, come on.
yeah, I don't
As
know what
much as
his thinking is. That I don't know why that doesn't really sound like a cool ladies' man Playboy name, but
I
whatever.
don't
But
know, like, oh my god, look at that
maybe
Ransom,
girls go
like,
for that.
god.
But
Yeah, it's
yeah,
Chris Evans. I think anyone would go for that. I would go for it. Like
yeah, but Marta manages to lie and say that Fran is alive and she's talking and named Hugh as the real murderer, and Ransom actually confesses to everything. What do you got me on? Attempted murder? So what? I'll be out in a week. And then Marta vomits on him, and in this, it's a fantastic moment in the script. Like she just projectile vomits on him,
yeah,
and one of the cops is like, "That means she's lying. Fran died." And the detective is like holding up his phone, recording the whole thing that you just
yeah.
confessed to murder on tape. And it's just a very satisfying moment because like all the
It all comes
setup that
back up at Ransom. No
yeah
pun
all
intended.
all the setup that Rian Johnson did in the script, like it all paid off here, man.
Yeah,
And like it
and
all paid off
then
in this
with
big moment.
the iconic chair that was used throughout all the promotion, that was really only used in what 2-3 scenes and
Yeah,
everything. Ransom goes and he goes for the knife.
it's like,
He goes to pull
well,
one
yep.
out, and then like he's like, you know what? If I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna fucking go out taking you, so you don't get none of that money.
Yeah,
And again, it is the most hilarious scene because when he stabs her and she's freaking out, and Ben Wall's like, no, and the cops are like, ah, and then like he realizes like, what the hell? And then he
it's a
pulls it, and it's a
fake knife.
gimmick knife for a gimmick chair, and it's like, even Ransom's like,
Shit.
oh, what the, yeah, like it adds,
No,
it's like an extra crotch hit because yeah, he had all this set up, then he gets puked on, and we know that Fran's dead, and this is what he's gonna get blamed for. It's like, yes, technically his grandfather did commit suicide because he thought he was gonna die,
yeah, but
but
like if
also
he had listened to
yeah,
Marta, he would have survived that night, and because she's a good
and
nurse.
and and with Ransom killing Fran, that just screwed the pooch on him right there. Getting vomited on, and then to try to like commit murder right in front of cops and a private investigator just to figure out, oh, I tried to murder a girl with a prop weapon. It's so fucking, and then yeah, he's getting arrested. The family, Richard's throwing up, fucking smoke. Also, too, there is a bit in between this moment in which Linda, I think, does figure out that Richard was cheating
Yeah,
because she finds the manila sealed envelope that
yeah,
Harlan had,
and
and it had the evidence that Richard was fucking around, and
that was set up
uh,
too earlier because like
yeah,
she talked about how her and her father used to do secret messages, and like it would be invisible ink, and she would have to warm it up to see what the message was. And
yeah.
when
And
the
then even then, when they were
yeah,
shown in the ordinary, when we were shown at the beginning with Richard being interviewed, that when they were talking about it, they were actually talking about the scene in which Harlan was telling him, I think it was
tell
immediately,
my daughter or I will, basically.
yeah, that so that's kind of like what pushed him as like a suspect of like, well, what is this? It's
Yeah,
like, well, we don't know. and then that's whenever it finds out, she kind of knows. And so now it's like my husband's a cheater, and my son tried to, my son essentially tried to murder my own dad, and then he ended up trying to murder the fucking nurse that we've all turned against, who was actually really just a fucking sweetheart, and she did her fucking damn best. Um, to take care of her father. She really did deserve, and I really do think in that final moment when Ransom is being walked to the police car and we're in the return now, Marta's won, Ransom's arrested, um and she has the house, and all the family member are just looking back at her once Ransom's in the car and he's driving off. Linda, Joni, Richard, Walt, everyone, they're all looking at her, and you sit there and see Marta right there sipping coffee in the Thrombey's old "My House, My Rules, My Coffee" mug.
Yep.
And
the situation has definitely switched.
I definitely do think of all the family members in there, though, Linda, I do believe, will probably be the one person that like is not completely upset that they lost it all.
Well, she's not screwed because
Linda
she has
has
her
own empire.
business.
She has her own business, but to the fact that throughout all of this stuff, she learned that her son had killed her father, and then her fucking husband was just a cheating son of a bitch.
I don't know
if anything,
did you notice in the movie that her husband now has a black eye in that last shot? Like before she read the envelope.
I was about to sit there and say, I don't. So was it
implied
then that? Oh, okay.
It's a nice little.
But it was never shown, because I was about to say, I never remembered if Jamie Lee Curtis socked the fuck out of.
It was done off screen, but you see the black eye that he has after that.
Okay, so I guess Chris watched the movie before we did the recording. I only read the script
seen it in a few weeks. I just love the movie.
Oh, okay, because like the way how you're saying it is like, God, did you watch this right before? Because I've been so busy, I have not been able to watch this movie. So I would have picked something.
It's a great movie.
I'd have picked something like that out.
Yeah.
But I completely forgot that Michael Shannon was even in this fucking movie as well.
Oh yeah, he's Walt, I think.
Yeah, he plays Walt. He's the one I handled. Yeah, Don Johnson was the one that plays Richard, and wow, Jamie Lee Curtis knocked the fuck out of the Marlboro's Man, which is probably a fucking film none of you people listening to this has ever fucking seen. Harley Davidson, the Marlboro's Man. It's one of the best, but also one of the worst movies ever. But okay, so yeah, she knocked the shit out of Don Johnson.
Yep.
I fucking love that. Okay, that after it's recording, I'm gonna have to watch that movie then to see that scene, and mostly pay attention to that end scene where he has like is it like a real visible shiner that she gives him?
It looks fresh. you can definitely tell. Like I think it's this eye. Like it's black now. Okay. There's the last shot of her looking up at him, and he turns around and looking at her, and he's like, "What are you looking at?" Because she just read the note.
Yeah. And so yeah, what are your thoughts on this murder mystery adventure that I somewhat slipped on, but you were able there to pick me back up? What do you think about this?
I think it's a fun murder mystery. He took a big gamble by showing us who the murderer kind of was halfway through, that it was Marta, and now you're rooting for Marta because the situation she's in. It wasn't her fault technically, and but she will be the one who's blamed, and you're rooting for her. You don't want her to get caught, and things kind of just unfold on her and get worse for her because now she's got the money. Now the family hates her. Now she's probably going to be targeted by some crazy family member to get the money. And you kind of get that sense when Walt confronts her at her home, like, look, this is kind of wrong. You should give the money back to the family. We'll take care of you, and he's kind of low-key, doing it and menacing, threatening, give us the money back or else.
But also too, no matter what, in that one scene, because of who Michael Shannon has played in so many fucking movies, I wouldn't even fucking trust Michael Shannon if he came to my door right now with a fucking check for $1 million. I'm like, look, what's the fucking catch? I'm not losing a fucking finger. I'm not, what other fucking villains has he played? He's played so many fucking
He's played
villains.
Zod.
Yeah.
Zod's the one that comes to mind for me.
I'm not, having him fucking destroy my Earth for $1 million and
But
everything, or
I
uh,
mean,
the
oh,
Iceman. I'm not having him fucking,
I haven't seen
here's
that.
$1 million. Now you need to go take care of a body.
But like overall, like I think it's a fun little murder mystery. Like he took a gamble by showing us who the murderer was like halfway through, like early on, I guess. Like I think
Yeah.
he shows us what really happened with Marta, like right when Act Two starts or right before Act Two starts. But like it's something that I like. You want to like be as an audience member watching a murder mystery. You want to be there for the ride. You want to be
Mm-hmm.
like you're watching Monk and you're watching him figure out
Yeah.
the mystery,
It's
or like you're watching Columbo, like the old Columbo movies. Those were fantastic detective stories,
the
and like,
movies or the show. I didn't know that there was a movie.
well, they're kind of like TV movies, sort of. I think because I
Okay.
think towards the end, because there's the show, and I think he did like he came back for like TV
Oh yeah,
movies.
oh yeah, because that was very popular in the '80s. Like they did it
Yeah,
with the Incredible Hulk, where you had, the trial, the death, and all that, and
yeah. That's why I kind of don't want to get into Glass Onion just yet, because like
we're gonna have to
there's
cover that on Encore, folks. Which, like I know we're kind of late on mentioning it, but yeah, we have a B show called Encore that we're definitely gonna be talking about. That
yeah.
we thought of doing this like midway through, and it's like, oh yeah, like let's do a B show. So chances are we'll talk about Glass Onion, which in that film, I don't think that film is nearly as richly layered compared to this right here. I think is
No,
the perfect film.
the
This is
like
this
Glass
is
Onion
still
has a
Ryan.
lot of issues that we'll go
Yeah,
on to later, but like there's things here that work because he switches the genre. He switches it
yeah.
from a murder mystery to a thriller. Like, oh man, uh, we she's got to keep this secret and like get away with this death, you know.
But
So
also in a sense, it still kept the murder mystery vibes because we're
there's
being told through only one side of the story. This is your murderer,
yeah,
and
still something is
she's
afoul.
trying to cover her tracks and prove her innocence.
Yeah,
When in all reality, there has always been a quote unquote murderer throughout the whole thing that we're still trying to figure out. So
yeah.
it's the hole that's in the donut's hole. Chris.
Why are you
One day
talking
I'm gonna
about
get that
donuts
monologue
now?
right. Yeah. Now
Oh,
I want a fucking donut. I want to go fucking order some from Shipley's. It's just like not that far from my home, and order me some
donuts are
Shipley's
for
donuts.
morning breakfast now.
Fucking
Can't do
donuts
that.
are for 24 fucking 7, dude. Like I don't care who.
Be a vast
It's the same thing.
stampede.
Like when
Jesus
people tell me
Christ.
eggs are only for breakfast. It's like bullshit. You can use eggs in anything.
Yeah. Breakfast and bacon and eggs for dinner. Yay!
Yeah. But
What is this, a
but
Denny's?
but yeah, like this is Ryan Johnson's best film ever. I do believe so. In all of the filmography that he has, this is his best film ever. I don't really believe he's peaked, but I think for right now, this is the de facto. It's this is it. Uh, and I want to see more of the guy. I really do. Uh, he obviously shows that he can tell a really really great story with Marta and all that in this. But again, like Star Wars didn't really help. Looper didn't really throw me through the loop. No pun intended. Um, Glass Onion. We'll talk about that later. I'm not shitting on it. I'm not shitting on it by whatsoever. But I feel like for this right here, it's like I definitely want to sit there and see what's the next murder mystery he's going to do, because I have a
Yeah.
feeling he's found his niche. He did his action, his sci-fi action. He did his Star Wars movie, which I hope they never bring him back for another Star Wars movie
He wasn't
or
the
another.
problem. He was not the problem.
You know what? We may talk about that on Encore too,
We
about
will
the
probably talk
fucking
about that
problem.
on court.
this, this is probably going to be the one time Encore is going to be so tied to a fucking episode because of Glass Onion and The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But there is something there, and it compels me to quote Blanc.
Yeah.
that Ryan really does have some really great stories and some really great movies in him. This is definitely a big show for it. I would still say Glass Onion is another great film, but it doesn't touch on Knives Out as much as I want it to. But I cannot wait. What is it? I mentioned it earlier in the episode. Poker Face. That one I'm definitely looking forward to. That one may be his big break for television with Natasha Lyonne. So and that one's going to be a murder mystery Columbo style thing. So I really do think he's found his genre because every director has their genre. Um, John Carpenter, even though he's done slashers and ghost stories, uh, I actually kind of really do believe that John, not he's not fucking French. John Carpenter is like his nice fitting are those action films that he does with Escape from New York and L.A. and Big Trouble in Little China. Those were the fun films where John really felt like he was having fun with it. You look at what's another? I'm trying to think. Spielberg. Spielberg always does the feel good family stuff. Even with
Yeah.
Jaws, there are still some family qualities. It's not feel good whatsoever because a
Yeah.
kid got eaten, and if you follow the sequels, more kids get eaten.
He wasn't.
But
He wasn't involved in the sequels, was he? I thought someone
no,
else
no.
took
But
over.
the storylines, though, there were. I think there was really only one film where it did not include the original family. Because I know in Jaws: The Revenge, that's when I think it was the final boy of the
Well, the
main character from the
wife
first one
and
died, and then the wife goes out there
yeah,
to go hunt after the shark.
I
Though it's funny because they call it the revenge, but yet Brody killed the shark.
yeah, it's
So
dumb. But I know in the third
so
one, it takes place at like a SeaWorld water park, and I think Brody's son is like Dennis Quaid in that movie, and I think
yes,
so.
yes,
Like the whole family's in the whole like four
but
quadrilogy.
I don't think the family is in in the second one. I think that was like a whole brand new one though.
No, it was Brody.
Was Brody in the sequel? I thought he
Yeah,
was only in the first one.
no, he's in the sequel
Is he?
because it's the same
Oh,
town.
Roy
It's just
Scheider is okay. So this happened before Roy died. So okay, it makes
yeah.
sense. But yeah. So like the fourth one, yeah, the fourth one was the one where they were in the Jamaican Isles, and you had I just said his fucking name. Oh my god, he played
Roy
Alfred
Schneider,
in Batman Begins. Uh,
Christopher Nolan. What?
no, Christopher Nolan did not play fucking Alfred.
Oh, you're
Michael
talking
Caine.
about Michael Caine.
Michael Caine was in the final Jaws. As far as I know, I don't think they made a fifth Jaws movie.
No,
Um,
the fourth one
but
bombed really hard
yeah,
and
and
got terrible reviews.
well, it's because all the other fucking families were dead, and all that was left was mom, and it's
The
oh
fact
my
that they
god, I'm
kept
trying.
using the same family in sharks, putting them in shark situations,
It's all
was
like you're
dumbing it
running
up.
out of kids to eat. You're running out of fucking.
Yeah,
It's all like sooner or later, like when it comes to fucking family heirlooms, you're gonna have your son's fucking floating arm on a piece of driftwood, fucking mounted on the wall or something. Oh my god, so I cannot actually freaking find it. When was the no, that's the Jigsaw Man. When was the last Jaws movie?
it was like 1990 or something, wasn't it?
Was it 1990?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, hold on. I was actually looking in television. Okay,
Jaws.
so it had to been before that because Jaws: The Revenge was 87.
Oh, okay,
It
pretty close.
was, yeah, okay. Lorraine Gary was the one that played the mother. Um, but like they ended up going like on a holiday, so they left Amity Island and they went to the Bahamas and supposedly, um, okay,
The
yeah, the film
shark
focuses on the
followed
now
them.
widow Ellen Brody after Chief Brody died of a heart attack. Her conviction that the great white shark is seeking revenge on her family, particularly when he kills her son, and follows her to the Bahamas. Jaws: Revenge was shot on location in New England and in the Bahamas, and completed at the Universal lot. Um,
Someone wrote that a giant fish had a grudge against a certain human
but yet
family.
the fish was fucking blown up.
Yeah.
The
The
giant freaking fish was blown up in the first one. Yet somehow, I guess it's
It was the
spirit.
fish's brother. He
I,
wanted revenge.
I was thinking more of the elements of what is it, Godzilla, giant monsters all out attack when Godzilla. It was like the original dead Godzilla from the first one, and it was possessed by the spirits of the Japanese soldiers of World War II. And so
Oh,
Ghidorah and Mothra
where
and
the good guys?
Barugan were
Yeah,
like, they were all viewed as good guys, which is weird because like Ghidorah's always been a bad guy. So this is what I almost thought with Jaws of Revenge. Is like, so what? Did the fucking soul
Godzilla
of the
switches
shark
sides a
from the
lot
first
too.
one possess the other one, and like you have a possessed shark? Um, yeah, that movie fucking jumped that whole series jumped the shark way more than what's his damn name, Arthur Fonzarelli did when that term was coined. Oh my god, folks, we mentioned so many great fucking movies that you guys need to check out. Even check out Looper. I'm not a fan of it, but go check it out. It's a Bruce Willis film, um, and it's Joseph Gordon-Levitt, right? He plays the
Yes.
younger version. Yeah.
Yeah, he
Um,
plays the younger version of Bruce Willis's character. So,
yeah.
and
It's
they even put
again, it's
prosthetics on his face to make him kind of look more like
like,
Bruce
yeah, because I was about
Willis.
to say, you look at those two, they look nothing alike,
Yeah,
uh, and obviously for Joseph Gordon-Levitt's age, he wasn't balding yet, like what Bruce Willis was at that age.
yeah.
Oh my god, believe it or not, I miss Bruce Willis with hair. Um, he looks like a totally different human being, but I fucking missed it. But Chris, we ready to wrap this up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Where can the fine folks that are listening to this, where can they find you?
You can find me with the Twitter handle Zealous Slacker or on Instagram and Facebook. Working on a blog, Zealous Slacker.
And you guys can find me at the Gothic Storyteller on Twitch, TikTok, Instagram. I almost forgot. I keep forgetting. I should have this fucking written down. But yeah, you can find
Where
all
are
my
you?
smart ass antics on Twitter and all over the socials. Even a YouTube channel, The Gothic Storyteller. I'm on there. Thank you guys so much again for listening. And don't stop watching movies. Take it easy, guys.
Bye bye.